All right, today we are diving into a huge shift in the global balance of power. And we're going to look at it through a really interesting lens that our source material calls the BRICS Cafeteria Rebellion. Let's get right into it. So our source kicks things off with this brilliant analogy to really help us get a handle on what's happening. Think about it. For decades, the global economy has basically been a high school cafeteria. And there was one table, the G7, that called all the shots. They were the cool kids who decided the menu for everyone else. But here's the thing. That whole dynamic is changing, and it's changing fast. A new group has pulled up their chairs, and they are definitely not asking for permission to sit down. This is the story of that rebellion. So, who exactly are these cool kids? Well, that would be the G7. We're talking about a group of advanced economies that have, for a very long time, held the reins of global finance, shaping policy and the flow of money for pretty much the last century. And this, right here, really captures the heart of this entire shift. As our source puts it, the other nations, the quote-unquote nerds and outcasts, have just had enough. They're not just trying to get a seat at the cool kids' table anymore, they're building their own. Okay, so let's meet this new power center. The source actually calls it the economic NATO of the Global South, which, that gives you a real sense of its ambition, right? This is not just some casual get-together, it's a serious economic alliance. And this new table is the BRICS Plus bloc. The core group, of course, is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, with the source really pointing to India and China as the economic heavyweights. But that little plus sign is super important. More and more nations are joining up, and their collective power is just getting bigger. So the big question is, how does this new table actually stack up against the old one? Let's take a look and really compare the economic muscle of the G7 versus this rising BRICS Plus bloc. Now this chart, this shows the new reality we're living in. When you measure economic output not just by, currency exchange rates, but by what money can actually buy in each country, that's a concept called purchasing power parity. Well, the BRICS Plus nations have already overtaken the G7. This shift isn't something that's coming, it's already here. But the numbers only tell part of the story. The real difference is what each side actually produces. The G7's menu is full of things like financial services, derivatives, and consulting. The BRICS Plus menu? Well, it's oil, gas, grain, minerals, and the factories that turn all that into actual goods. We're talking tangible stuff versus financial products. So what is it that holds such a diverse group of nations together? What's the glue? Well, it turns out having a common enemy is a very, very powerful motivator. And listen, the source does not mince words on this. It literally describes the BRICS Plus alliance as a wrecking ball with a very specific target in mind, the financial system that's been dominated by the West, especially the U.S. Treasury. This is about fundamentally changing who controls the world's money. The main tool they're rebelling against is something the source calls weaponized finance. And what that means is using economic power, things like sanctions or controlling international payment systems, as a weapon to get what you want politically. And that, right there, is what unites them. According to the source, it's a shared hatred of this system. To go back to our cafeteria analogy, they are just tired of being bullied, so they're banding together to build a whole new system where they can't be cut off or punished financially. So, this brings us to the bottom line. The whole conflict really boils down to a simple, almost primal economic question. Who needs whom more? The World Workshop or the consultants? And the source puts this question directly to you. In a real crisis, which table is more valuable? The one that's offering you complex insurance products, or the one that has the food, the fuel, and the raw materials to build things? And here it is, the source's powerful conclusion. It's a pretty stark reminder of where real value actually comes from. The argument is that finance and consulting are all built on top of a physical economy. If that foundation, the workshop and the farm, stops producing, well, the whole structure just collapses. So we'll leave you with this question to chew on. Are we just watching a simple, maybe inevitable rebalancing of the global economy? Or is this something more? Is it a deliberate, coordinated rebellion against the old world order? The answer to that is probably going to define the rest of this century.